You are listening to the postcast presented by the Locked On Senators podcast and, of course, the Glebe Central Pub. Check out the GCP where the vibes are free at 779 Bank Street. Let them know that Locked On Senators sent you. Tickets still available for 3 more shuttles this week during the homestand. GlebeCentralPub.com will get you all sorted out. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller and Jack Richardson, following the Senators' 4th straight home win, and they didn't need regulation for the first time in forever. 4-2 the final score. Sens beat the Utah Mammoth. Pilsy, what'd you see tonight? Pretty good team effort, eh?
I mean, incredible, but nothing beats back-to-back wins on a weekend, especially when you cap it off with the home win. Meriläinen stands strong. Jordan Spence, I mean, oh my God, did he look good tonight? And the Ottawa Senators find a way to get a win without overtime or shootout. And now, boys, we're looking at a November that all of us were like, oh my God, this could be really bad. Let's just survive through this and then we'll figure it out. The Sens are 2-0-2 to start November. Now 3rd place in the Atlantic Division. I don't know, Jack. I like where this team's sitting right now.
Don't say it on Twitter, Pilsy, because if you talk about how well the Sens are doing in the standings these days, it isn't going so well, but the results are there. The play hasn't necessarily been, but I think tonight was a great example of just sticking with it, managing the game properly. There were swings in that game where the Mammoth looked like the much better team. That's a good team over in Utah. I think this is a good win. Last year, they beat the Mammoth twice. You're thinking, all right, they beat the team they should have beat. Tonight, that's a different beast over in Utah. They're a very good team this year, very fast, which is a team the Sens don't typically do well against, I think, under Travis Green. So this is a great game. Great game. Levi Meriläinen was fantastic tonight. Exactly what they needed from the backup goalie.
More on our Sen Central standouts later on. The 4-2 score was helped by scoring first. 3rd straight game now. The Sens have scored first. And Jack, doesn't it just change the whole feeling of a game? Like, it's just one goal. And like it has in the past, like they score one, they can't necessarily build off of it immediately. They give up the tie at 1-1, but it just allows you to get into the rhythm of the game.
Yeah, and you're not chasing. They don't have to chase the game. They don't have to go back every shift, think we need a goal here, we need a goal here. And clearly the mentality of this team is better when they're in a defensive mindset. And we're seeing that now translate to goals. The mindset this season was to score more at 5-on-5, 4 5-on-5 goals tonight on home ice. Doesn't get much better than that. And I think that's just the result of them sticking with it. But scoring first matters. You're right, Ross. Like it's crazy to think of the difference in the tone of the game. We said it all last year. They're so much better when they're defending a lead than chasing the game. And we saw it all throughout the playoffs, even going back to the spring. Every game that they let out the first goal, they lost against the Leafs. So Pilsy, to me, I'm looking at that game and just saying is if they score first, you know that they're off on the right foot. And the goal itself, you could talk about too, was a little bit quirky, bouncing off of a couple things, but a perfect Ridley Gregg goal to get on the board. He needed that one badly.
Greasy goal to get things started. And I mean, the Ottawa Senators get outshot 14-5 to start this first period. And That looks and feels a whole lot different if they leave that period down 1-0. But you start off 1-0 and end up being tied 1-1 at the end of it. And this is yet another game where the Sens prove, hey, we might not be getting a lot of volume of shots, but we're going to find ways to score and find ways to, at the very least, stay in games. And in this one, they're able to pull away thanks to a successful challenge. The Ottawa Senators have done a great job challenging goals so far this season. And that was a pivotal moment of this game because it looks a lot different if that doesn't work out for them.
Well, Pillsy, take me through what you saw in that play, and would you have challenged it right away?
Goalie interference is truly a flip of a coin. If someone tries to tell you they know 100% black and white what the NHL will say is goalie interference and what isn't, they are a liar because it's impossible to tell. I wouldn't have challenged that at all. Like, Levi Meriläinen has so much time to reset, and by the time McBain gets that puck in, Levy's already on the other side of the crease because he thinks the puck's gone way over there, and McBain is just like, I'll just knock this in. Like, I don't know. That one was one where I was like, oh my God, I'm a little nervous that they're challenging this, but it seems like if there is any goalie interference, if you're touching the goalie at all, if you're in the crease at all within 90 seconds of a goal happening, they're going to call it goalie interference. So I guess it was worth the challenge. There's a reason why they challenged it. Obviously, the video coach must have been like, hey, this is within the rules. Let's go for it. Because if they don't get that, now you're looking at a tied game and Utah gets a power play seconds into the third period. That would have changed everything. So a risky play, but it works out great.
I think it's so important to think about the Sens PK in the context of challenging, because especially with goalie interference, like you mentioned, it's such a coin toss. Teams know it. The league knows it at this point. If you know it's a coin toss, you got to bank on your PK being able to stand up tall, because we've seen the Sens do it this year in Washington recently, obviously, and they started the onslaught after that. But once you score, if the goal counts and then you get the power play, you score right after that, all of a sudden it's two very quick goals within a couple minutes and the game gets flipped on its head. So you're right, Pillsy, if they don't get that right. So that just proves how risky of a play it was, especially that early in the period. But I really did think that that was a turning point for the team, because after that play, they took over the third period. And like, we've seen this team on the second half of back-to-backs really just shut it down. But I think the third period was their best period offensively, even in that game tonight. I think that might be fair to say, because the Cousins goal was a bit of a squeaker. Obviously, Spence, we'll get into Jordan Spence's bomb for the second goal. But I think the third period was their best period after the challenge. They got some legs after that and took it to Utah, who clearly got defeated after that, because I'll be honest, I thought that was going to count. I was all on board with that counting. But luckily, the Sens were on the right side of that.
And Levi Meriläinen earned his luck tonight because he made some great saves. Maybe lucky on a couple late, that one where it was just a scramble and all of a sudden it ended up right under him. You're just like, phew, okay, wipe the sweat off your forehead and away you go.
But Ross, that's where, sure, you might call it luck, but that's where not being a frozen statue has its benefits, and moving and scrambling and battling and being like, oh my God, I got to get back in this play. I can't just sit there and hope for the best. You got to do that sometimes. And Levi did an excellent job of that. I'm so much more confident with Levi Meriläinen in the net than Linus Ullmark right now. And there's no reason why Levi doesn't get another start this week, in my opinion, for home games. And look, if Linus Ullmark was playing lights out, sure, ride him. But he's been statistically one of the worst goalies in the entire league. It's wild that this is only Levy's third start of the season.
Yeah, and he made the most of it, and you'd likely see him Thursday against Boston, maybe?
Yeah, or, I mean, at the very least, Saturday up against the Kings. Like, he's got to play one of these games, in my opinion.
29 saves for Levi Meriläinen tonight, and the expected goals, he saved plus 1.8. Feels like the Sens haven't been too far above plus 1 in a single game. I think Ullmark was right around even against Philadelphia, and then a number of negatives. Both Levi was a negative in his first game, obviously, the season, and then was, I think, hovering around 0 the last time. So a plus 1.8 tonight in the expected goals. Great performance from Levi Meriläinen, and I think we might be hearing more about him later on in the show. Let's look at how this game unfolded. 4-2 was the final score. The shots on goal favored the Mammoths, 31-25. Sens 0 for 2 on the power play. That's now 17 straight power plays without a goal. Utah goes 0 for 1. The Senators continue their brilliance in the dot, 60%. They out-hit Utah 28-13, out-blocked them 11-9, and Utah with a slight edge in the expected goal percentage at 5-on-5, 51.3 to 48.7. But despite that, getting outshot, having the ice slightly tilted away from you at 5-on-5, like, I would look at this top to bottom and say, not only did the players figure this out, but boys, we got to get in from the standpoint of Travis Green making the in-game adjustment of shifting Nick Jensen down onto that third pair. Jordan Spence moves up. He ends up playing the rest of the game with Thomas Chabot. When they're on the ice together, it's 2-0 Ottawa, and Spence played, and Chabot played a huge part of that. Chabot's point shot gets tipped, but Spence set him up for it, and Spence's rocket. What do you think's going through the coach's head throughout it? Do you think this was a direct reaction to the poor pivot on the first goal from Nick Jensen? Because he ended up playing 4.5 minutes in the second and only 4 in the third period, well below his season average, ending the game with 14 minutes. That's not an easy decision to make in game. Feels like with a vet like that, you'd probably sit him down. We've been talking about it for weeks, but feels like still you'd be like, all right, like, let's start a game like that, see how it goes. Jack, were you surprised to see that in game?
No, I don't think so. And I think that a lot of people have been calling for somewhat of a change in the deployment of Jensen, Spence, and Montemalo, because it sucks that Montemalo, quite frankly, has had a pretty good start to the season, but his name has been just stapled to Jordan Spence being scratched, because Spence has been unbelievable. He's been fantastic. Other than that one play that did end up costing them the game against the Islanders, he's been outstanding. So it's unfortunate that that's been the conversation, but I think with Jensen, it's so much easier said than done to really sit a guy like that down and be like, look, we gotta scratch you even that. So I think that doing it in game is smarter. It lessens the amount of time he's on the ice, which is important because this is a usage issue. I know that Nick Jensen has hockey left in him. And let's not forget, a year ago, he came in and saved Thomas Chabot. That was their best pairing for most of the last season, especially when Sanderson and Zub and Sanderson and Hamonic were figuring it out on the top pair. But we got to remember, Jensen does have a great foundation of hockey, but I think the third pair is the best way for him to do that. Tyler Cleven's a great partner to do that with. I think Cleven's had a good start to the season as well, coming off an injury in training camp. But I think the fact that Spence hasn't played enough games has made it harder for the coaching staff to look in game and say, this is the change we need to make. But tonight was the night. And I think it happened after Spence's goal. But I'd be surprised if they go back to Chabot Jensen right away. For a coach and a coaching staff that just throws the forward lines in a blender shift after shift, especially with Tkachuk out, it's actually hard to keep track of. Let's be honest, boys. Like, I tweeted out, it was fun watching Greg, Cousins, and Zetterlund when they got that first goal. And I think I noticed them like 3 more times the rest of the game together. It was just a revolving door when you've got the 12th forward you don't really trust, and Hodgson and McDermott, whatever it is. So it's rare we see the D pairings get mixed up. So when it happens, it's pretty significant. So I'd expect them to roll with this for a little bit. I would be really surprised, though, if Nick Jensen is actually sat. I think that they'll just roll with this for a little bit, see if he can find his game with Cleven. Bit more of a reliable, sheltered minutes on home ice, especially. You don't have to get them caught out there against top lines. Leave that to the big boys and Sanderson and Zub. But I really like the move, obviously. I just think that maybe we need to give the coaching staff a little bit more credit, because it's so hard for a guy who was a top 4 defenseman just last season, coming off a huge surgery in the offseason, to sit him down 15 games in, even though it hasn't been that good. Give him a bit more of a chance in a sheltered role. I like this position for Jensen a lot more.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, Jack. And Spence and Chabot played 10 minutes, 31 seconds together. They had the advantage in Corsi 4 percentage. They look good out there. And it'd be different if you didn't have other options and you're like, look, we got to play Nick Jensen in the top 4. We don't have a choice. But you've got a guy that Travis Green trusts in Montemalo, and you've got a guy that Travis Green should trust more in Jordan Spence, and him and Chabot look like they could be a really nice pair together. So I want to see more of that for sure.
And I want to hear more about this game after the break. Full game summary, breakdown of a few of the goals, as well as our Sen Central standouts. You're listening to the postcast presented by the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Indeed. Guys, you just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? It's easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job posting on other sites. Indeed sponsored jobs puts your post at the top of the page and helps you reach the right candidates faster. Funny enough, I just recently got hired by applying to a job on Indeed. So my employer was able to find a great employee in me back in the bartending scene, and they were able to do it through Indeed. If you've been in that pressure where you need a right hire like yesterday, the pressure's on, and every day without that right person is setting your business back, that's when you use Indeed sponsored jobs to come in handy, and they're going to make sure your post is seen by the right candidates right now. You can speed up your hiring process with a $75 sponsored job credit. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, Indeed, this is all you need.
Today's episode is also brought to you by the Glebe Central Pub. It's our pub in the heart of the Glebe, 779 Bank Street. Let them know that Locked On Senators sent you. We head there every trip to Ottawa because they've got great food, awesome drinks, and an atmosphere that you can really settle into, whether you're talking about their live music every Saturday night or watching the game. Head there with friends, family, or go meet some people there. They got open mic night every Wednesday night. It's just a great experience. Wing nights on Mondays and cheap tacos on Thursday. But the Sen Shuttle's where it's at. Sue gets you boots on the ground in no time. She leaves an hour and 15 minutes before the game and then brings you right back 20 minutes after, so you don't have to beat the traffic. No, you just get to the bus and they take you to glory, the GCP. That's the place to be. Go there at 779 Bank Street. Let them know that Locked On Senators sent you. You can click that when you buy your tickets for the shuttle. It's $18 round trip, and you can go on Tuesday against Dallas, Thursday against Boston, Lyndon Slewage singing the anthem, and then Saturday against the LA Kings. So head to the place where the vibes are free. It's the GCP, 779 Bank Street, and let them know that the boys at Locked On Senators sent you. Welcome back, Locked On Senators, the postcast, your team every day. The Senators with a 4-2 win tonight against Utah. Ridley Gregg opens the scoring 14 minutes in. Rich Cuz gets the assist, Dylan Cousins' fifth apple of the year. Clayton Keller would answer shortly after. Assists go to Sergachev, and goalie-friendly show. We got to tip our cap to Vitek Vanacek getting on the score sheet tonight for Utah. In the second period, Jordan Spence scores his first goal as a member of the Senators. That was 7 minutes in, and then 7 minutes later, Nick Cousins. Whether you're rich or poor, you could be my cousin. And Ridley Gregg gets a second assist there. It's 3-1 Ottawa at that point. It's 3-2. Nick Schmaltz, Nodak Notsen gets the assist where Logan Cooley and Nick DeSimone. But it's just as much as they're playing the game tonight, you just know Nick Schmaltz is going to get a point. The guy dominates the Ottawa Senators, so thankfully we only see him twice a year. That brings it to 3-2. We talk about the disallowed goal, and then Michael Amadio. Stay hot, Michael Amadio. 6th of the year from Shabbat and Spence. Pilsy. Michael Amadio has 2 less goals than Shane Pinto this year.
Yeah, it's crazy. 4 straight games with a goal, and he's finding ways to get it done. And that was a nice play because that shot by Shabbat from the point, it gets redirected, and that's going way wide. But Amadio sticks with the play, watching the puck, gets a stick on it. And they mentioned on the broadcast, he was getting hooked that whole time. I'm pretty sure it was a delayed penalty. So, not only is that puck going wide, he's got to follow it, but he's getting hooked, still gets the deflection, and manages to score. This guy's hot right now, and he's playing with Shane Pinto. So, he's getting opportunities to be in good spots, and he's capitalized on them. I love seeing Michael Amadio do this because normally we look at him and we're like, oh, this is a guy that plays good two-way hockey. He's going to have a good stick, be good defensively. How about score some goals? How about 4 straight?
Well, Spiegler in the chat said 27 points, book Amadio for 27 goals. Well,
I told you that.
26 goals, 1 assist. And we can get to 27
There we go.
points. It would be the 4th straight year that he gets exactly 27 points, which makes it notable. But Jack, this guy is incredible. It just feels like the definition of a Swiss Army knife to help a team win.
I love that line, man. I love Amadio, Pinto, Giroux together. I think it's been nice that they've been able to move Ridley Gregg around and keep that line intact. And one of them is getting hot at some point this season. Giroux might be next because Pinto was on a heater to start the year. They get that line together. Now it's Amadio. Just a perfect, I like the way you put that, Swiss Army knife, because he does everything. He doesn't kill penalties, but he's probably their best defensive forward, I'd say, Michael Amadio. There's just too much Mark Stone in his game for me to ignore it. And knowing that they won a cup together, the stick plays, I'm not saying he's Mark Stone, but the way he skates around the ice, like he just looks very similar. He's a bit of a taller, lankier player, smart, not the fastest, but is always in the right spot, has the puck on his stick all the time. And now he's finding he's in the right spot and he's being rewarded for it with 4 goals in 4 games. The depth scoring needed to take a step for the Sens this year as much as the big boys did. And it's doing it right now with Amadio with 4 goals in 4 straight.
Easy B, we're going to call him in the chat. Give it to the Italian, the new one.
Nice. I like it.
I like that a lot. The German was quiet tonight. Tim Stutz had a great opportunity in the 3rd period. And again, goalie-friendly show. And maybe we just feel bad because Vitek Vanacek was the goalie for the Sharks when Pillsy and I watched the Sharks just spit that game away in the 3rd period last time we were boots on the ground. He gave the puck for the game-winning goal, if I remember correctly, right off the wall. But that blocker save was as beautiful a piece of goaltending as you're going to find, almost matched by the pass from Drake Batherson.
Yeah, well, and he had another game-stopping or game-saving stop, Ross. Zub had a point shot that was blocked, loose puck. Vanacek has no clue where it is, and Giroux goes to poke it, and he sees Giroux diving for it and just puts the paddle down and saves it. Like, some incredible saves from Vanacek, which is crazy because when I see him and when I saw
thought you were going
him,
to say it's crazy because he sucks.
Well, that's where I was going with this. When I see him, Ross, and when I saw he was starting, I was like, this is going to be a cupcake game for the Sens. Like, I picture him as a bad goalie. Like, I feel bad.
He's got a ring.
But yeah. But he found a way to make some big saves tonight, and this loss was not on him, in my opinion. So,
I mean, the one Nick Cousins' goal shouldn't have gone in. Like, that was...
No,
his pad was on the ice, and Cousins tried to throw it in front, and it finds its way in. That's a game-winning goal.
I'm surprised they didn't call Nick Cousins for a penalty there. Feels like this guy's getting penalties for anything he does. Like a couple embellishments this year.
I mean,
but that penalty he got in the 1st period, he literally got interfered with and then got cross-checked, and they called him for roughing. He didn't do anything.
Yeah, it shouldn't have been a penalty, but he went back at Sergachev a little bit there. But
I was going to say, I think
he went back at Sergachev, who didn't get a call. And they gave him an even-up call for a different infraction that happened.
Yeah, it was weird. Yeah.
I think Nick Cousins is a guy who will never get the benefit of the doubt.
But yeah, also...
yeah, that's a reputation call right there.
Full sweat try hard, great handle. That was probably a dive by Nick Cousins off the bat anyways. I thought he was going to get embellishment.
He's always doing that.
A bit much.
God, yeah.
It's a bit much. I just hope it doesn't sewer them in a key spot.
He's a great versatile guy to just have to play on the 4th line. He was good with Timmy and Drake for a little bit. Like he's been everywhere. I think of all the wingers and all the players on the team when Tkachuk's been gone, Nick Cousins has kind of been the guy where I've been like, okay, you know what? You've stepped up specifically in certain roles. Tonight he's on the 4th line, gets a nice game-winning goal, just doing the dirty stuff. It's a gross
game-winning goal, eh?
You know, like he's been productive. He's been productive in this stretch. They're 6-1-3 in their last 10. This is a good stretch for the Sens.
Yeah, it's a real good stretch. The boys, like 7-3-3 now without Brady Tkachuk. That's 17 points in the standings is shocking for me based on what they looked like the first game without him when they lost 8-4 to Buffalo. And I know he and Drake Batherson haven't had a chance to play together yet this year. He came back right as he left, and Batherson held off the score sheet tonight, which is shocking in and of itself because he's red hot offensively to start the year. And Yeah, probably robbed by that blocker in the third period to get it. But who were the Sen Central standouts from tonight's game? We got to host them. We might even snap it around twice on a 3-man postie. That's how much I like the boys' game tonight, despite getting outshot. Doesn't matter to me. They battled back. They get the win at home. First time in 4 games, they don't have to go to overtime. 4th straight win at home. And 3rd straight win scoring first. 3rd straight game. I guess they had an OT loss in there. But you know what? You score first, give yourself a good chance to win. I'm going to see which one of these boys I'm giving the chance to go first. Sen Central standouts are next. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. If you missed the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who's going to score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for your shot at a bigger payout. Pilsey's parlay of the day hit today. Very exciting, and it can be exciting for you no matter what game it is, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. They always got great promos, profit boosts, no sweat bets. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Welcome back to the postcast. You can find us on social media at Sen Central is on Twitter, and all of our personal accounts are in the description below. Pilsy, I asked, the chat wants to see it, so the chat's going to get it. Following tonight's win, 4-2 against Utah, and the Toronto Maple Leafs allowing a third period goal against Carolina, losing in regulation. Detroit loses in regulation 5-1 to Chicago. You thought 7-3 was bad in Chicago? How about 5-1? And now the Ottawa Senators will wake up on Monday morning in 3rd place in the Atlantic Division. Now the Tampa Bay Lightning have a game in hand, but you know what I say to that? Who cares? Pilsy, imagine telling a Sens fan this when they were 1-3 and Brady Tkachuk was going to be out 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I did not think that they would be in contention for top 3 in the division, especially with how things went when Brady first got out. But they find a way to do it. And a lot of it has been with elevated play by Tim Stützle and Drake Batherson. But those guys didn't really factor into tonight's game at all. So there's other depth guys. I mean, Michael Amadio, Jordan Spence, Levi Meriläinen had a good game. There's other guys that are able to step up and also provide offense in Brady's absence.
Pilsy, would you call this a bullpen game for the Sens? A little World Series throwback? Like, none of their top guys scored. Their starting goalie had the night off, but it felt like everybody came together as a team.
Definitely. And Ross, when you have back-to-back games, you need your bullpen to step up because some of the starters are going to be gassed. So this is a really great team effort. And you love seeing these types of games at home. Like, you got to get the crowd into it. I know it was a stormy day in Ottawa, so all the fans that did their best to make it to the game and slugged through the tough road conditions, they got their money's worth here, and hope everyone has a safe drive home.
I don't want to take the standings off, but I feel like we do have to move on from the fact that the Sens are 3rd behind Montreal and Boston in the Atlantic Division. Now, I did say that Tampa was ahead in points percentage, but Boston's actually behind because Boston's played one extra game and they're only one up. So they're actually still 3rd, whichever way you slice it.
And we'll see them this week again.
Tampa or Boston's ahead. So, hey, Bills, you might have to reassess that big game feel by the time we get to Thursday, because you weren't going to give the next big game until after Christmas. But if Boston and Ottawa keep finding their way to getting points, it might have to be reevaluated there on a Thursday night in the nation's capital, where the GCP shuttle is going to be absolutely buzzing for that one. And we're going to chat, just a little teaser for the week, what we're working on over at LOSP. Our guy Chase, Wisco Sens fan on Twitter. Guy's been a diehard Sens fan since 2000, give or take, and he was a Sen Central citizen last year. You can go find his episode. He's going to Ottawa for the first time in his life this week, and he's going to 3 games. So he's going to jump on during the week and give his boots on the ground first ever experience in Ottawa after being a Sens fan for so long. We actually got to meet him at the Sens Wild game in Minnesota. We're like, hey, we got 2 empty seats next to us. Hey, bad sports town, Minnesota. Maybe just a heartbroken sports town. I shouldn't actually press on that too much in every single league. But absolute beauty, great family. We're going to chat with him this week. But tonight's game was enough to chat an entire show about. But we got Sen Central standouts now. You know what? Jack hasn't been on the last couple. Pillsy, we've been going old school, you and me, the last couple of games, swinging them. But we're very lucky to have Jack Richardson on the pod. Jack, we love you, buddy. So you know what? I'm going to give you the honor. First Sen Central standout. And I'm going to slap you if you don't go where I think you're going.
Yeah, thanks, fellas. I really appreciate it. And I feel like the guy I'm about to talk about with no appearances. I'm going to talk about Leevi Meriläinen. I feel like I haven't been in the call, I guess, for a little bit here. His third start of the year, Leevi Meriläinen with the best goaltending performance of the season so far for the Sens.
Wow.
I
hadn't
don't
thought
know
about it like that, but it's great that we're talking about Chase because Spiegler notes, and it's true. Chase coined the Finnish firewall last year after he had that great game in Minnesota. So great call, Jack.
I think Leevi Meriläinen is, I mean, the training camp was bad. The Buffalo game was just an anomaly for everyone. They were wearing the red jerseys for the first time. The vibes were off. Tkachuk was out. That's a game you throw out. Meriläinen's been great this season in his other 2 starts at home. He was great against Boston in the onslaught. I was there on boots on the ground for that. I found in that game, he stopped everything, stopped the play when everything was getting a little hectic in the Sens zone. Tonight, he had way more action, and he just is a calming presence, like you mentioned, Pillsy, off the top. He makes me more confident than Ullmark does right now. That's not saying that in general. It's nothing like that. But you've got Ullmark for 4 years here at the minimum. That's the contract. Meriläinen's under team control for that amount of time. This should be a tandem. This absolutely should be a tandem. It's absurd. He's played only 3 games so far this year. Credit to the organization for sending him down to Belleville, getting him some starts at least in general. But this kid should be playing every other night, not even for his own benefit, but for Ullmark's benefit. Because we've seen in Ullmark's career, his best season ever, one of the best seasons we've seen from a goaltender in this decade, whatever you want to call it, when he won the Vezina, was when he was flipping the crease with Swayman. So I don't understand. They've got this guy in Meriläinen who looks good. He does these games all the time. Get him in there more often. I want to see more of number 1. He was fantastic tonight. The reason that they won, it wasn't as busy in the third period, but he managed the storm, especially in the second period, I thought, when the Sens took a 3-1 lead, made some huge saves in the second towards the end. He just looks so confident, and that's what you need from Leevi Meriläinen.
Love to see it. And the confidence I would imagine that he feels from having a couple starts in the AHL. I know it's not easy to be bounced up and down and, hey, do they really want me in the show? But he showed that he can go wherever need be and produce. He had a great last start in the AHL before getting back up with Ottawa, and he was phenomenal tonight. Boys, we're going trivia now. And I want the chat to get in on this. The NHL's PR department just tweeted out the top 5 Senators, the fewest games played by a goalie to get 10 career wins. The fewest total games played by a Senators goalie to get 10 career wins. I'm not going to quiz you guys and make you put them in order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to ask you, how high do you think Leevi Meriläinen ranks on this list?
Okay, well, we know Andrew Hammond is on that list.
Yeah, he was an auto 1.
Andrew Hammond took 13 games to get to 10 wins.
What a crazy run. Every time I'm reminded of it, just, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone else. I can't.
And not that it wasn't already said without saying, but congrats to Leevi Meriläinen, his 10th career win tonight.
Can I ask? So how many games is he at? 15?
17 games, because he had 17. Those 2 games. You were right if you just counted last year, but he had 2 games at the end of the following season.
Okay, so 17.
I'll go Emery.
Yeah,
Ray Emery is 3rd on the list with 16 games.
I was going to call Meriläinen
one. You're missing one in between Hammond and Emery.
Leonard.
No.
It's not Bishop, is it?
No, it's these are like throwbacks, like where I was young growing up. Like I don't think either.
We're not going to get these. I don't think.
I'm done.
Let me see if the chat's got it. Sens fans in BC go Anderson, Hasek, Meriläinen, and Hamburglar. You just got Meriläinen and Hamburglar. Yeah, career win. So Hasek would be like 500 gone from that. Okay,
so it's rookies who came in basically, right?
Yeah, I'm not seeing the answers. One of them's like literally was like my favorite goalie at the time, and then Emery came in and I had a new favorite all-time goalie. Think backups in the early 2000s. Alex, backups for 400?
Yeah, I don't have.
Okay, last hint, he wore a ridiculous helmet.
Prusek.
Martin Prusek is second on the list with 15 wins to get to 10, and fifth on the list. So it goes Hammond, Prusek, Emery, Levi Meriläinen, and he finished higher than another Finnish goalie.
Jani Urme, nice.
Jani Urme, 19 games to get to 10 wins. Shout out to NHL PR from that. So to rewind, Pilsy, rewind. Levi Meriläinen is Jack's Sen Central standout. Pilsy, go ahead, unless you need to catch your breath after that one.
No, I'm good. For some reason, I feel like I could do fast forward better than rewind. So I got to work on those. But you know who doesn't need much work on anything? Jordan Spence. My God, what a game for Jordan Spence, number 10. Over 20 minutes played, 1 second over 20:01. 4 shots on goal, 1 block, a goal and an assist, +2. I don't know about you guys, but I jumped out of my seat and it literally was like, oh my God, when he scored that, because he stepped into that one and he put everything he had into it. Everybody talks about Spence is too small to be in the lineup, blah, blah, blah. He didn't look small on that one. He put a lot into that, and there was no chance for Vanacek there. And he had like 3 other clap bombs. Vanacek was able to make the saves on those ones, but he just looks so good out there. That tape-to-tape pass, D to D to Chabot that sets up that Amadio goal. Like, this guy is now back at a point-per-game pace. If there's no, like, Travis Green, there's not a single thing he can say or do that will justify healthy scratching Jordan Spence anymore. And if he does, we rally at the GCP. We bring our pitchforks and torches onto the bus with Sue. She wouldn't mind. And we go and we riot. Because that's just unacceptable. Jordan Spence has to be in this lineup every game. My first Sen Central standout, presented by the Glebe Central Pub.
He was so awesome tonight. He was getting pucks on net, 4 shots on goal, led the entire team. And you just know, Jack, that's part of just the confidence. And he's like, man, I'm feeling it. And even in his second intermission interview with Mark Rowe, Mark's a great guy, by the way. When I was working at TSN, he goes above and beyond. And I like that they did make sure to have a host in Ottawa. They didn't just send it back to Scarborough, Ontario, where we could learn about the Sens game. They had Mark in-house, boots on the ground. And he was asking Spence, like, what'd you see on your goal? Said, I jumped on the ice and I saw the boys were already going in the ozone. I said, I just got to get this on net. And this is the part I loved. I shot to score. He wasn't looking for a tip, wasn't looking for a passing lane or a rebound. He said, no, I'm shooting to score. And you don't have to be a hockey expert to see the way he went into that one and said, yeah, you were, buddy. Yeah, you were.
He just gives them an element offensively that is irreplaceable. It's such an easy thing to see. Eye test, analytics, stats. Like, he's a point per game defenseman, boys. He's better than Sanderson at points right now and through 7 games. How crazy is that? At even strength too. They needed to improve their 5-on-5 scoring, and every game he's played in, he has improved their 5-on-5 scoring. 7 out of the 16 games he's played. What is he, a +5? +6 at this point?
+5, yeah.
Yeah.
We don't look at plus minus that much, but when it's leaning one way or another that heavily, you have to. And Jordan Spence has been fantastic. He can play in the top 4. And when I learned that he played 79 games for the Kings last season, midway through this lull where he was getting scratched every night, I lost it. What are we doing? Scratching Jordan Spence. And again, it's nothing against Matt and Paolo. He's also had a great start. Jensen, we know things have been figured out. It's maybe a reality of having depth, but the fact that this guy has only played half of their games so far is outrageous. He should never leave the lineup because of what he provides. That was a 1-1 game, and he blows it open with a great shot that only certain defensemen can make. It was a great play. Great play.
You know what else is great too? First, there's two things on top of everything that you guys have so succinctly discussed. But one, the fact that he's added that physicality, and Sens fan and Van pointed that out, like, hey, since he's been out, clearly the coaching staff says, hey, we need you to be stronger on the puck. Obviously, the mistake against the Islanders looms large there. But boys, he doesn't take penalties. Only 2 defensemen on the Ottawa Senators this year don't have any penalty minutes. You know who the other one is? Jake Sanderson. And he plays the most.
Okay.
Sandy's sitting at 0 PIMs, but so is Jordan Spence. So shout out to him, goal and an assist. Fantastic Sen Central standout. And Pillsy, I'll just finish with a stat. This was the most minutes he's had in a game as a member of the Senators. He played 1947 in the overtime, shootout win over Seattle. He finishes with 20 minutes and 1 second in tonight's game. My Sen Central standout is going to be Ridley Gregg. We've been begging for some offensive production from him, and he gets a goal and an assist in this one. I thought he was okay otherwise. Like, he didn't stand out in terms of the flow of play maybe throughout the game, but he stands out on the score sheet, and that's one area where we felt like stuck at 1 goal coming into tonight's game. He just wasn't generating anything. They've been trying to move him around the lineup. You're on the 3rd line. You're playing top 6. I felt like the next stop was the 4th line if things didn't iron out quickly, and instead, goal and an assist. Boy, did that line need it. All 3 guys on that line that scored the opening goal, Greg, Dylan Cousins, and Fabian Zetterlund, they all needed a 5-on-5 goal, for crying out loud. They get it to open the scoring. The bullpen game comes through again because the depth really shone, so I'm going to go depth for mine. I guess so did you, Billsy, because at this point, Jordan Spence is depth. We'll see how long that continues. But Ridley Gregg must be feeling good confidence-wise, and they're going to need him this week. He scored a goal in Dallas last year. I remember it was a really bad performance overall at the start, but they ended up, I think they won that game in Dallas, but he had a big goal for them there. They're playing Dallas next. I'm going to be expecting Ridley Gregg to build off of this because the confidence has to be better than it's been all year. And shout out to Ridley Gregg tonight. Didn't play a lot late, I would say, but still finished with almost 18 minutes played, had 3 hits in this game, goal and assist, and was +2.
Yeah, solid game for Ridley Gregg. Maybe we're going long here, so maybe we'll just do quick honorable mentions instead of full standouts, or...
Well, Pillsy, you said Monday morning walking in the LOSP studio for a true episode of the show after a back-to-back weekend win. We're fired up. And this week, we're actually going to drop it early next week because the Sens are off Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But we have a former captain of a Canadian NHL team coming on the show. So we're going to get his take on all things Senators. But Pillsy, like, tomorrow's show is going to be unreal. So I'm already fired up for that. So, yeah, quick honorable mentions. Quick fire me.
I'll go Dylan Cousins, 2 even strength assists, and he started off the season hot, but then kind of cooled off, and obviously the plus minus has not been great for him as he gets a lot of his point production on the power play. So it's nice to see him get 2 5-on-5 points here, Dylan Cousins.
Love that. I think that'll be the team honorable mention for this one. Let's get to the super chats. We appreciate all 400 citizens on YouTube joining us after the Sens beat Utah 4-2. Sens fans in Van. Tonight, Jack's YouTube short on Spence aged very well. But the question that everybody wants to know is, who are you going to get out of their slump next?
Looking at number 12. Not a slump. He's getting points, but he's snake bitten again. This is the Shane Pinto we know because he gets snake bitten a lot, but man, he looked good tonight again. Shane Pinto. He might be the next one. Keep an eye out for that.
Okay, we will. And Matthew, he's 2-0-1 wearing his new red alternate jersey. Pillsy's got the Giroux alternate back there. Giroux's numbers, since you got your hands on that, Pillsy, are also very, very good. So we're fired up for that. And then I mentioned this one earlier, but Sens fans in Van talking about how Jordan Spence is playing meaner now with his spot on the team. Senators back in action Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday this week at home before heading out on a 7-game road trip all the way out to Cali. And then they zigzag through the country. St. Louis, Vegas, Dallas, back to Montreal before they come home again. So this week, critical in banking points. That's the moral of the story. If you have to sum up, like coaches love those quick hitters. The standard is the standard, that sort of thing. Up the roof. Shout out Guy Boucher. But Pilsy, banking points would be the Senators while Brady Tkachuk's out of the lineup.
Yeah, and finding a way to stay in games and then getting 2 wins this weekend, both your goalies playing. Now you get to stay at home for a good stretch here before you go to Cali. Like, this could be a good November for this team if they're able to ride this momentum.
And we'll see if they can do it. Jack, any final thoughts on today's show?
Just a complete game. I want to see more of the same. Dallas, a big test on Tuesday. That's a fun team to watch in Dallas. November doesn't get any easier. I think when the schedule came out, it looked a little easier, but some of those teams, the Ducks, the Sharks, look a lot more fun this year, harder to play against. So we'll see how they do in the later part of the month, but that's a great weekend. Back-to-back wins. That's what we know this team to do. Getting points with Tkachuk out. I believe I said when Tkachuk got hurt, any point without Brady Tkachuk is a good point. They've been on a nice stretch without the captain so far. A few more weeks to go. Should be about halfway through his recovery.
7-3-3 without the captain, and obviously they lost that first game. So 7-2-3 in the last, not a math guy, 12 games without Brady Tkachuk. For Brandon Piller and Jack Richardson, I'm Ross Levitan. Let's get some GSGs in the chat. Thank you so much for joining us on the postcast. If you ever miss any of them, they're always available wherever you get your podcast, just moments after the live stream ends on YouTube. But to make sure you know when we go live, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, hype the video, and get involved in the chat. Even if you're in the chat, leave a comment below. Anything helps. 5-star reviews as well on your favorite audio podcasting platform. And as I mentioned, you can follow Jack, Pilsy, myself, the show, all on social media. The link is in the description below. Senators win 4-2 against the Utah Hockey Club, the Utah Mammoth, whatever they are. They're not Senators beaters. Sens improved to 3-0 all time against the hockey team from Utah, including that big dub tonight. We'll talk about it more tomorrow on Locked On Senators. We'll look ahead to the week, and geez Louise, the Hockey Hall of Fame inducts another former Ottawa Senator. Feels like we're on a roll with that. Zdeno Chara will be the latest. I'll reminisce on some of my favorite stories from when Chara was a member of the Ottawa Senators. So make sure you're subscribed for that. Dropping tomorrow. For today, we say good night after a Senators perfect weekend. For Pilsy and Jack, I'm Ross Levitan. We're a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.